oftentimes with manga publication, series tend to not know when they're going to end, or if they're going to end at all with something like One Piece. Well, obviously, that's a slight exaggeration. But mangakas don't really get a say over whether or when their manga ends or not. And that is something that is a whole other debate or topic in itself. But it does cause a few problems. If a manga is cancelled early, then obviously it gets rushed and the ending feels hollow. But if it doesn't have any notice of ending anytime soon and it just keeps on going and going and going and going and going and it just drags on, then it starts to, well, end up killing itself, like the manga in the title of that this video is about, Rental Girlfriend. And Rental is a series I genuinely really enjoyed. I watched the first couple episodes of the anime, was hooked, and decided to pick up the manga after like episode 4 or 5, I think, and read up to, well, relatively recently, the chapters as they came out every week. However, the most recent arc, whether on holiday, has been excruciatingly boring and painful to read. If anything, most of the recent arcs have, because they've just been so drawn out, and it feels like next to no progression in terms of the romance or character development is actually being made, even though so much time is being spent focused on these events. Now, yes, the arc we're currently in does feel like it'll have some sort of resolution, but so have like the past 4 or 5 arcs, and they haven't had any sort of big resolution. The best arc in the series for me is the movie arc. Again, we get probably the best character development for the female lead, Chizuru, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how the manga is just dying because it's being drawn out for far, far too long. The arc right now, we've spent like 7 to like 10 chapters on a single day, whereas earlier parts of the manga were like, oh yeah, this chapter, like 4 days pass in the span of this chapter, and now here we are of like, there is 7 to 10 chapters, maybe even more, because I've not caught up recently because I just haven't had a want to, because it's just been boring me, of just this same day where chapters end, the panel that ends a chapter is also the end of the next chapter, and it's really, really strange. That's a slight exaggeration, it doesn't quite do that, but it feels like the progress is so sluggish and nothing is even happening at all, even though so much time is being put into this. Yes, there's lots of dialogue, and I normally love dialogue and character development, but a lot of it feels just empty and like it's there just to fill, space on a page, because that's basically what it's doing. For me, I feel like the Rental Girlfriend manga should have ended months ago, but it didn't get the chance because the anime came out, it got popular, more people started reading it, and it got pushed to keep going further than it really should have, and it's running on less than fumes. It's like it's killing itself. It's slowly dragging itself down as it keeps going. And while obviously I am not a professional in any sense of the word for anything, and my opinion doesn't really matter, I think that something needs to change with how rental is happening right now. Obviously, I'm not in a position to say what should happen or, say that something should, but I'm going to, because I want to voice my opinion. Not that anyone cares. But the pacing needs to speed up a little bit. There needs to be like actual development happening in the arcs, and we need to have some sort of benchmark of when the fuck this will end, because so far it's just been stagnant. And it's been stagnant, I'd say, for about 100 or so chapters, and that's not a good thing. Like, that's a really bad thing for a series to be. And I just don't think the ending will feel satisfactory, even if it is a good ending, because of this huge portion of stagnation. Like, there's been plenty of manga that I've loved and been slightly disappointed with the ending, but I feel like Rental will have, even if it does have a good ending, it will just be disappointing regardless because of this meaningless, and well, not meaningless, but seemingly meaningless build-up to it that has provided nothing for the story outside of, oh look, here's a pool scene and another beach scene and oh look, Chizuru, you know what I mean? And there's also events that have happened that have caused pointless drama for the sake of having plot happen. that if characters decided to talk to each other like mature adults, which they're supposed to be because they're in university or college in Japan, but they don't because they're acting like children, which doesn't really make sense given these people are like 20. But that's by the by. It's a shonen series, what can I expect? All in all, I'm disappointed in where Rental is right now. And I'm sure it can try and salvage itself, like if the pacing picks up and things actually start happening. But as it is right now, the manga is stagnant, and I feel like it's dying very painfully and slowly as it just keeps getting beaten and beaten and beaten, like that one analogy about a dead horse. That was a terrible joke. But if you like terrible jokes and this video, what a transition, leave a like, comment, sub, hit the notification bell, you know the usual YouTube thing. I've been Animosity, you've been you, and I'll see you all next time for another video. Ta-ta, for now.